Welcome to Saturdays in Canada here on the Sports Betting Channel with Blackhawk Wes. It is week 5 of the CFL season. Wes, this is a lot of fun, buddy.
It's been great. And the only reason we didn't go 75% in week 4 is because there was only 3 games. But going 2-1, 3-1 every single week, it makes it fun. And that's
the thing. That's what we talk about on this show. What we talk about is who we think's going to win the game, right? But Sports Betting Weekly, which is the heart of what we do, is to teach you that if you see an opportunity, you have to maximize that opportunity. I hit Toronto 3 different times as a money line dog, 3 different times in one game. You just got to take those opportunities when they present themselves, you know?
You do, and you can feel what's happening in the game. And this is all sports, not just Canadian football. The advantage we have over the house right now in Canadian football is the apps, whatever app you're using, it's not reacting as quickly. I don't believe that there's a Bovada or a MGM representative in the stadium when that Toronto stadium is 15,000 people and half empty.
No, and here's the other aspect we have. We talk about the 73%. Don't get me wrong, I'm very, very thankful. As a matter of fact, perfect time.
Jesus, I thank you, Jesus.
I really am.
Jesus.
I'm very, very thankful for the early success because I've done the contest thing, and this is kind of like a contest world we're living in here,
Yeah.
And so what happens is that tough start, it changes everything. There's no doubt about it. You want to start with winning. So let's talk about a few things. We got that 11-4, but of the 4, I want to ask you, how many teams were involved in those 4 losses? I think we lost twice with the same team twice. So we lost with 2 teams twice. Is that possible?
Well, shame on us, but it's Winnipeg that we've doubted them twice.
Well, let's skip the middleman. That was the second game of the week, right?
It is.
Let's go here.
You're not going to make a living betting against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
That's all I needed to clip out. I didn't have to even put a lot of effort into it. So, but what do we got to do? We could only say, hey, what we saw, did not match what happened. So now that it happens, we look back and we say, okay, because we know Winnipeg so well. It's just a little feeling it out. But if that's your only loser, then think about it. In the other games, we were like 11-2, right?
And even still, you look at this past game, the Winnipeg-Montreal. Montreal just couldn't score points. Winnipeg didn't light it up. 17 points, a Blue Bombers team. This is 4 weeks of 2 weeks of 40 points. Then the following 2 weeks, we got 17 points and 6 points. So this is the most dangerous team there is in the CFL right now. And I'm talking about as a capper, because we don't know what we're going to see on the field next week. Are we going to see 40 points? Are we going to see 40-22? Are we going to see this 17-point performance that we just saw this past week? They're really dangerous.
Well, the thing is and that's the beauty of the data. So where I'm at with the data is, besides going 9-0 on one game, breaking it down now, but I'm keeping it 1 year, just this year. I got enough activity. Let me see what happened just this year. And then what I'm looking for is teams that are finishing last year the same way they started this year, because that is, to me, who you are. If you can't run the ball, and last year you averaged 67 yards a game, and now you're averaging 64. That's it. That's not changing. You're 4 or 5 games in now. What else do we have? So yeah, the other games that week. So we got the first game was the another thing we were going to talk about with our 11 winners.
I got to take the fresh team coming off a bye, going against the worst team and the biggest mush we know. So I'm going to lay the 3.5.
Yeah, we really should probably come up with some type of reward system for residents of Edmonton, because they've treated us so well,
They have.
And the mush is the thing. But so those 11 wins, how many of these so far are money lines that won the game on the field? Because I know it's a lot.
So-
It may be every one that was money. I don't know if we won a game where we won with the points but lost the game. I don't remember one.
Well, most of our dogs are dog outrights. I don't
Right, they've
think
been winning.
And I don't think any of our dog plays have been, dog cover. This past week, Toronto winning 45-24. They were a 2.5 point dog, a 3 point dog, depending on the line movement. And it was no contest most of that game. And the prior
Yeah, well, let's cover that game.
road at a tough stadium. And the +2, I'm taking Toronto here, and I'm taking Toronto to beat them outright.
Yeah, when you look at that up there, when it was one at that point, so then it went to 2.5. You said, so the money was going the other way, and yet it was the easiest of winners. I mean, it really was, because that was another one. Remember, here's how it works with me. You're just new to the family thing. You've had a wife, and now you got a family. When you have the family, sometimes you got to take watching the game any way you can get it. And sometimes that means you don't watch the game. So I didn't have my phone at the jacuzzi. Now I know a story that involves being at the jacuzzi, Wes, is not one where you're going to get a lot of sympathy, okay? I realized that up front. So I was having to give you the score, and it was 7-0 them, and then it was 7-7 us. Now, when it's 7-7 us, and I had the over and the us is getting points, that was a good few minutes at the pool.
Yeah.
All right.
And the first half over, the game over. I mean, the bookmakers missed the boat on this.
But it doesn't. We're going to go to break. We're going to try to sell some footballs. We're going to talk about prop swap, because I'm really looking at futures for a lot of different leagues right now. And of course, you're the future king. You know what I mean? And then we'll hop on game one. And then, you know what? We're pretty much because we're a little behind. We should have done game one. But we're going to do game 1 and 2 in the next segment. Then we'll do game 3 and game 4. But to understand, there's still gloating to go, because as you know, Wes, 14 round robins are a unique treat. They really are. You're listening to Saturdays in Canada with Black Hawk West here on the Sports Betting Channel. You're getting a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football from ChampionshipFootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. How hard is it to find the right gift for someone that already has everything? Whether that special present is for a Georgia Bulldogs fan or a member of the Kansas City Chiefs kingdom. Maybe your grandfather has been a Dallas Cowboy fan as long as you've been alive. Does your brother-in-law live in Penn State territory? Do you know a member of the University of Baylor Alumni Association? Is there a better birthday gift for someone who's 100% all Tulane Green Wave? Send them the coolest present. They'll open that day, guaranteed. Now, if your favorite pro team is the Jacksonville Jaguars or those Minnesota Vikings, we're sorry about that. If you are a Louisiana Monroe Warhawk or an East Carolina Pirate alumni, not much they can do. After all, the name isn't You Had a Pretty Good Season Footballs.com. The name is ChampionshipFootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. With thousands of buyers across the country, you'll always get the most amount of money for your bet on PropSwap. So hurry to PropSwap while it's early and grab a ticket or two. The odds are always the highest right now. It really does pay to get in early. Go to PropSwap.com or download the free PropSwap app today. PropSwap is where America buys and sells sports bets. Welcome back to Saturdays in Canada here on the Sports Betting Channel with Black Hawk West. Wes, the first game is exciting for me because the week got pushed out a day, right? Because of the holiday. So everything got pushed out. So it's going to be Thursday. And I mean, this is it. Remember, though I can win with baseball, I've been known to lose with baseball too. And so the closer we get to, because I mean, this is every week. I'm putting money in every week. I'm taking it out much more than I put in. Leaving a little bit, playing with that. Taking the money out, leaving a little bit, playing with that. It's really a fun time when you're winning, but because I don't know, it's like we've been doing this for a while. This is not our first rodeo with the CFL. I feel like I really actually do know the teams. I know the players now. I have a feel for, and we'll talk about it as we talk about these games with the quarterbacks. It really is, and we saw that with the Winnipeg game, Birmingham game in the USFL. When it comes to the best team on the field, if you bet the best quarterback, what do you think you're going to win out of 10?
Most of the time, I would say you're going to find yourself on the right side of it if you're betting the better quarterback. And then if you throw in the better coach, if you have the better quarterback, better coach combination, you kind of balance them out. I mean, that's Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. I mean, these are not CFL references, but I mean, that's what we're looking at. Winnipeg, Zach Collaros, Mike O'Shea.
Yeah, and I think, because I remember last week we were trying to compare the whole quarterback thing. Not that I'm a big quarterback guy, but the bottom line is it's a different world. The CFL's a different world. That end zone, man, if you got a good quarterback and you got a big end zone, you're toast. I play defensive back. You're toast.
Yeah.
You just can't stay with a guy that long.
You can't. And again, you're on the 10-yard line and you're throwing a 30-yard pass.
Yeah, so what we're going to look at is this week and kind of get a feel for things, but I do have some easy sports data notes. And remember that for me, those are because I love the fact that I lost two out of three, so it's 2-1 this week. But I think my winning percentage is kind of the same for the second half as it is for the show for the games. Mm. And those are done really ahead of time most of the time, but not always. The bottom line is you got to play off of the first half. But when the second half lines up and then you see the line and you're getting points, I forget what they were getting. I think it was 2.5, 3.5, like that. So in the second half. Okay, I'm taking that free money.
Yeah.
But this is the first rematch. It's not a trap game. It's the first rematch of the season. Thursday night.
It is.
Edmonton at Sask. Now, we know a lot about both of these teams, and it's 43, 7.5. Really, like you said, 3 of the lines this week are touchdowns.
Well, and so the last time we had talked about Sask, we were talking about them going into Calgary, and we had them as dogs, and they won that for us. I don't remember the exact spread, but we had them as a dog outright winner. And what I had said then was they're not winning, but I really like their body language. The way that the offense is reacting to Trevor Harris looked encouraging. They barely beat Edmonton. They didn't look great in week 1. Then they came out and they were able to hang some points on Winnipeg. And at week 2, we thought hanging 27 on Winnipeg was a big deal. So that's why we like them going into Calgary. Well, now they have a bye and they're at home. And Mosaic is, you feel a difference. You see a difference when you're watching a game at Mosaic in Regina, Saskatchewan. And you want to try and say that? At Mosaic in Regina, Saskatchewan.
3 times fast, baby.
So
I'm just a year removed from Saskatchewan Anonymous. So don't you don't want to take my opinion.
Yeah. So this game, I would be giving Sask a hard look no matter who they play because they're coming off a bye, and that's a smart move to make. They're very well coached. They're coming off of a really dominant win on the road at Calgary against a really good defense, or at least on paper, a defense that's been good. So, we're looking at 7.5 is the spread here. Sask did not play good and beat Edmonton by 4. Sask needed a really bad coaching decision in week 1 the last time they played. That was the game where I was like, you've got to be kidding me. We were on Edmonton that game. So 7.5 and a week to prepare. Edmonton coming off a loss, 2 road games in a row. They're going from Ottawa to an even more difficult stadium. They still don't have an answer at quarterback. Sask is starting to answer the questions. And so 7.5 is not the same in the CFL as it is in the NFL. You can be ahead by a touchdown by 7 and suddenly get 1 more point just by kicking the ball off. These 1-pointers, you almost don't even realize that they're happening until you look up at the scoreboard. So I'm laying the 7.5. I'm taking Sask. We're not gonna bet on Edmonton. We're going to bet against them unless there's
here's why. Here's some of the numbers we're going to bet against them. Now, remember, we're talking about week 5, okay? So the most this games you could have played is 4 games. And so listen to, when I mention these Easy Sports Data numbers, listen to some of the numbers because they're bigger than 4, okay? So in the first half, it says if you're against the spread records are in the first half 1-4, in the second half 1-7, and for the game 0-7-1, so you pushed one. You know that these first 4 aren't unusual. That means that's what we talked about earlier. This is a team that's doing the same stuff they do. This is what they do. They lose.
And the first half, they don't look bad. And what I'm going to say now is if you watch this game and it looks like Edmonton is playing okay or they score the first touchdown or something like that, you're going to be able to catch a better spread. You might be able to catch Sask at -2, -3, and we like it at 7.5. So if you have an opportunity in this game to lay 3.5 or lay 2.5 in a live, do it.
If you like it at 7, you like it at 2. One last thing I got before we go into take a spot. We're going to talk about Sask because I think if I remember last year, they had a pretty good record, and all of a sudden they lost and just kept losing, and they couldn't stop losing, right? That was what they're doing. So this year, I made a purposely. I looked at that sheet. So there's a sheet one sheet is all it takes to print this data for this year, where it takes Staples to do the rest of the seasons. But when I looked at just this year, they look much better.
They do, and you got to keep in mind that division is Sask, Winnipeg. Calgary's not healthy right now, but last year they were a really good team. Calgary's receiving core and running back combination is top notch. So you really Sask, Winnipeg, Calgary, and BC. I mean that's murderer's row.
Well, we said that they played. So this is the first game we've said that this year. They played already. It was 17-13. They're just getting better. You know what? If I beat you 4 there, I should be able to beat you by 8 here. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Let's do this. Let's take a break. We are going to – what are we going to do? Oh, the Penn State footballs came in. It's a Rose Bowl. What can I say? And, and of course, the Chiefs. You know what? The Chiefs – footballs, I didn't realize how much – well, you haven't seen yours yet, but I didn't realize how much color was on the logo last year for Super Bowl 57. They're really good. You're listening to Saturdays in Canada, sponsored by ChampionshipFootballs.com here on the Sports Betting Channel. Your Penn State Nittany Lions are Rose Bowl champions. Here's the coolest present any Penn State football fan will open that day, guaranteed. These full-size, NCAA licensed, full-color souvenir footballs celebrate the second Rose Bowl championship in Nittany Lion football history. The top panel of these limited edition footballs celebrates both the 2023 and 1995 Penn State Rose Bowl titles. The second side has the score from every regular season game of the 11-2 season where they finished the year ranked number 7. These footballs make an incredible gift for your favorite Penn State Nittany Lion fan, even if it's you. ChampionshipFootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
420. I love that number.
Your Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl champions. Here's the coolest present any Chiefs fan will open that day, guaranteed. These full-size, NFL licensed, full-color souvenir footballs celebrate all 3 of Kansas City's Super Bowl titles. The top panel of these limited edition footballs has logos and scores from the first 2 championships with all the game information from the Super Bowl 57 win. The second side has the score from every regular season and playoff game. These footballs make an incredible gift for your favorite Kansas City Chiefs fan, even if it's you. ChampionshipFootballs.com, the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Welcome back to Saturdays in Canada here on the Sports Betting Channel with Black Hawk West, sponsored by ChampionshipFootballs.com. And it really is the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. But we get a lot of phone calls. If you've seen the logo enough, Wes, you know the logo has our toll-free number in it. So we get a lot of phone calls. And filling the order for somebody that's buying footballs for their grandkids could take me 45 minutes. It would take one of my girls 7 minutes max, maybe 4 to 7 minutes, depending on how chitty-chatty they got. But I'm talking football with somebody whose team just won something really special. It's just the coolest thing ever. All right, so let's look at game number 2. Friday, 8:30, Calgary, Winnipeg, 46.5, -8. Now, I really do think our only 2 losses were Toronto and Winnipeg, which, cover the last three Grey Cups, really, if you think about it. So let's pay attention to this game. I want to win this game.
Yeah, Calgary's coming off a bye, and they're really injured. They're really injured from top to bottom. They got some key players on the 6th week. They have some injuries at the receiver position, and Winnipeg is coming off a win at 17-3, but I think offensively they're going to be disappointed in that performance. And I said it, and every time I go against them, I get burned. And 8 points is a big number. Last week I was sitting here saying I'm not comfortable laying 6, and they only hung 17 points, and their defense just silenced them. So there's one of the disadvantages.
Here's the question I have for you. How much does Winnipeg's last week win alter how you personally are going to be betting them?
We get burned when we bet against them, and their roster is the best in the CFL. 8 points is really not that much when you look at the defensive performance. They just held a really good quarterback and pretty good.
I'm going to throw some numbers at you. 31, 27, 30. Who would have thought that they would give up 3 points after those 3 numbers?
When I look at this game, I just don't know who's going to catch the ball for Calgary to put points on Winnipeg. If we were looking at anybody else, the 8 points would scare me. If we were looking at a more healthy roster, but in this scenario at Winnipeg, I'm going to lay the 8 points. And
well, here, let me throw some. I'll throw some easy sports data your way. No, this is the head-to-head stuff. Winnipeg 3-0, but only 1-2 against the spread. And then we got the versus the same kind of peoples. Calgary lost to BC week 1, 25-16. Winnipeg lost to BC week 3, 30-6. In the last 2 home games, they're 1-1 money line. But in their last 2 seasons at home, these are at home figures. They're 17-2 money line. So they're 17-2, winning the game outright the last 2 seasons, but in their last 2 games, they're 1-1.
Lay in the 8.
Yep. Let's go. Oh, you know what? There's some Cali on the road. Cali on the road in the second half against the spread. They're 6-1, and for the game, 7-1. The second half, they score 11 plus 13 or 14. I like to throw those out there. I like to throw those out there just so you know that's stuff they've done in the past, and it's out there,
Well, and I think we use that data in week 2 when we were looking at Calgary on the road, because they are statistically, you just mentioned it. They are a better team on the road than they are away, but they're just too injured. Right. They're even coming off the bye. They're just too injured. And with Winnipeg, one of the disadvantages is, I don't know what happens on Winnipeg television or in the Winnipeg newspapers or in some of these CFL cities, but the information is very limited. You can go to CFL.ca. And sometimes you get updates, but Kenny Lawler was supposed to be back last week.
You want to know? Because I'm doing that now. I literally do that every single week. So I understand. You're exactly right. I use the Twitter feeds. I get more information current from the Twitter feeds, from everything from injuries to the weather delays, things like that. It's so much better than, because posting an article and updating the news is not what people do when they want to do it live. And the CFL does a real good. I get their email once a week because we signed up for CFL Plus, so I get an email from them once a week.
The injury status and the roster status and the practice did not play full practice. That like I'm looking for some form of Kenny Lawler update, because when he hits that Winnipeg roster, there ain't no stopping him. They will be 30 plus points a week.
Yeah,
He's
we're looking forward to that. Because it really, again, last year was so much fun with them, especially when they went on that second half tear. It was unbelievable. It didn't matter what happened in the first half. They were going to win in the second half. They were either going to cover all three of them or they were going to win for the game too. All right, so we're going to you know what we got to do? We got to stop, because sometime right about now.
I love that number.
It's 4:20 in London. And that kind of is the only tie-in we can figure out, because, of course, the Canadian money's got the Queen. The Queen pays the players. So check out the commercial for Wanna Join the 420 contest. I didn't see any this week. I really wasn't looking, though. I was trying to keep peace in the family while I was going 12-0. It was a 12-0 day, thanks to EasySportsData.com. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Leaf.
And hello, and we're here to tell you about our Wake and Bake Twitter contest. You don't even need to be a great handicapper to win.
This one is so easy, even I can win.
That's right, Leaf. Anybody can win. All you have to do is...
Can I do the disclaimer?
Leaf, the disclaimer is at the end.
Sorry.
All you have to do is take a screenshot of any game that you're watching where the clock has stopped at exactly 4:20.
420. I love that number.
We know you do, Leaf. Now please let me finish.
Sorry.
If the clock stops at 4:20 during any game you're watching, take a screenshot showing the clock and tag Chaz on Twitter with the picture.
Go to @secondhalfchaz, add the picture, and you're in.
You'll be entered in a drawing for a $100 gift certificate at championshipfootballs.com.
In a world where most cannabis gummies are hashy, melty, or just plain gross, one brand will rise up to forever change what an edible can be. Vegan and gluten-free ingredients, 30 plus terpenes, and a melt-proof recipe star in Wana. Not all edibles are created equal. Now in theaters. Dispensaries.
Welcome back to Saturdays in Canada here on the Sports Betting Channel with Black Hawk West, sponsored by ChampionshipFootballs.com. It is the coolest present they will open that day, guaranteed. Game 3, it is Saturday, 7 o'clock Eastern, Ottawa at Hamilton, 44.5 minus 2.5.
Ottawa is about to start their third quarterback of this young CFL season. That's just wild. Hamilton is on their second string quarterback, and Hamilton's coming off the bye, but they have not scored points. The only game they scored points is where they got some help from their special teams, and their second string quarterback is actually pretty good. I like what he's shown, but the Hamilton defense has not been great, and this Ottawa just came out and had a really great performance. That quarterback got injured. We're looking at Jeremiah Masoli potentially starting this game, who's a former Red Black, and we're getting 2 points. Ottawa's defense has been great. I really like their defense. The question mark going into last week was, would they be able to score points? And they did. Their defense put them in good position. They actually scored some points. We're going into Hamilton. Hamilton is not the most intimidating stadium. It kind of looks very high school, very MAC stadium. I'm taking the 2.5, and I'm taking Ottawa to go into Hamilton. Hamilton has not proved to me that they can score points without getting them cheaply on special teams.
Yeah, Joe, just this year they're 0-3 against the spread, and they've given up 42, 32, and 38. Think about it. They gave up 42, 32, 38. 42, 32, 38. How do you win a football game giving up 42, 32, 38? You're not going to. All right, so here's what we got. Like the Winnipeg stat, Hamilton is also 3-0 last year. 1-2 against the spread. In the second half, Ottawa has been under an 8 straight. On the road, it's 10 of 11. What's it say here? Hamilton, in the first half parlay on the other team and over. Hamilton, in the first half, bet against them, take the over. It's 4 straight parlays, 4 straight parlays. You get on a run where you pick it up and you catch that and you ride that out. That changes your day because guess what, Wes? If you're hitting that 2-teamer, you're probably got a 3-teamer hooked up to it, maybe like me, a 4-team. That's why I had my 4-team round robin was Toronto in the second half and over in the second half. And all of a sudden, boom, half of it's in. Every of the other games is now a straight bet, you know?
Yeah.
All right, what else do we got? I already told you that they allowed. So I did the math here. That those 3 numbers I was yelling out: 112 points in 3 games. Oh my goodness! And then finally, this is it. This is what I'm looking for here. I want to know if I have to hedge. I hedge now. I didn't hedge week 1, and I regret it. And I regretted it every week. And every week I've hedged a little because this way, the worst case scenario is I'm getting all my money back. So, what do you do in your life where if the worst case scenario, I don't shop and hobbies, going on vacation, the worst case scenario is you get your money back. That's a great scenario to be in. So the first 3 games are important because all of a sudden that's 10x. In business they talk about 10x. Well, guess what? In bankroll, 10x is the same thing. And if you sweep the board on a Saturdays in Canada, you 10x it because I always have it. I always have it. Always have it. All right.
Yep.
So what do you think? Montreal, this is Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern at BC, 45.5, and another big one, -7.
Yeah. So 10 points, 22 points, and 24 points. That's the margin of victory, BC's first 3 games. It took 6 interceptions from an incredibly well-balanced team that doesn't lose at home to beat BC. And BC still hung.
Hey, and
points.
I will give you the shout out because that almost made the clip, but it was far apart from because that's what you said. They were the top intercepting club. And I won on a pick 6. You never win on a pick 6. You always say, I only need a pick 6. And how many times? 1,000, 1,500? Those words will come out of your mouth. I need a pick 6. And I got a pick 6 to cash. It was amazing. And it was their 6th pick. There's 6 picks.
So Montreal, after only scoring 3 points, you go back to the Hamilton game. They looked really well. They hung 38 points, but Montreal really they're not hanging a lot of points. They scored 19 on Ottawa in week 1. So if you were to take BC and eliminate, they scored 24 points. I don't know that Montreal can score those points, and they threw 6 interceptions. How do you throw 6 interceptions and still hang 24 points? If they only threw 3 interceptions, would they have scored 40? I mean, that's an incredible team, an incredible offense. So I think we're getting a gift here on the 7.5. And I realized that my early Grey Cup value was on Montreal, but I'm off that right now. They're not scoring points. And BC's playing really good defense. Until this past week, they were the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense.
Listen to this number, right? In eight halves, 4 games, 8 halves, they have scored double digits in 7 of the 8 of them. And they allowed 45 with those picks and stuff, but before that, they gave up 7 points a game for 3 straight games, 21 points in 3 games.
And from a personnel standpoint, they have not been at full strength on receiver. They have not had Lucky Whitehead and Rhymes on the field at the same time. This past week, Lucky didn't play. They had Lucky on the field, I want to say week 1 or week 2. Rhymes didn't play. And Hollins is getting really strong, being the number 2, and really he's a number 3. So this team has 3 great receivers, and their new running back is playing well. Even if they throw 3 interceptions versus 6 is a wild thing that does not happen. So I think that VA is going to clean this game up. I think that they're going to get back to business. I think that Cody Fajardo is going to run for his life in this game. 7.5. We're laying some big numbers this week. We're only on 1 dog, but you got to do it here. BC's the better team. BC right now is the best team in the CFL outside of what we've seen in Toronto. But I think the 2 of them,
at home,
Grey Cup.
At home, the Lions are on a 4-0 win streak against the spread, which is really all I care about. But that's not true, because when I saw that Winnipeg moniker of the 17-2 before the last going 1-1, they were 17-2 at home. on the money line. That money line mania thing I do where, your logic is if you're not going to take the points, you like the other team, right?
That is correct.
But when I do the money line thing, if they win the game, I'm good. If I win the game, I'm good. And I know how many times I lose by a stupid coaching thing or, the hook. How many times do we lose by a hook? Oh, my God. It's brutal, And having that money line action takes all the stress away from losing on the hook, because that is a brutal loss. When you're up, you're given 6.5. They score to go up by 6, and he misses the extra point, and there's like 12 seconds left in the game. You want to shoot somebody.
Well, let's go to the other side.
That's probably actually. I apologize. That's probably something I shouldn't say in the times that we're in right now.
but winning by the hook, that is a nail biting, head scratching, like clenched.
Well, yeah. So you're all.
Win.
If you're with other guys, you got your hands together. You don't care. You're in a sports book and you're grumbling. You got your hands together. Wide right. Because if the guy misses it, you all win, and he misses it, and the place goes crazy. I love sports books. I miss sports books. So so we'll just all we could do is our best. We'll talk throughout. We'll adjust accordingly because, as you know, if the writing on the wall is you need to go the other way quickly to get some of your money back, then we go the other way quickly to get some of our money back.
Well, yeah, and I always go into the game. With my Discord members, we have the baseline picks. So the baseline picks are our game plays, but we always identify a first half over, a first half under, a quarter one. These quarter ones at 3.5 for the CFL have been great because you can get a field goal and you can get the single. So, but we always go into one of those for a half a unit. And then if you win that, well, you're even better off and better protected. If you win that, you got an extra unit to play with. And if the game looks like it's going in the right direction, well, maybe you read it. Maybe you catch a benefit.
Well, you're absolutely right. Because and again, if your plays and team totals and stuff are also, which they should, based on your handicap and lean towards the team you're doing, when those win early, the other bets are in good shape as well, and that allows you to sometimes. I love the fact that when you see the game is out of reach, and they've only raised the line from 7.5 to 10.5, and it's obviously these two teams are not 2 touchdowns good as each other. And you hop on the 10.5, and then it goes to 12.5, and then you get 13.5, and we've done it before live, and you end up cashing 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, and we're gonna be looking at live this week because we got big point spreads. With any luck, some of these big point spreads, the other guy scores first, and we can jump back in. And then the hedge, Winnipeg, we laid 8 points. If they go down by 3, just because it was a fairly successful opening drive, and we can hedge that at 3.5 or 4.5. I mean, now we're protected.
No, the opening drive is really sometimes karma's way of saying, you know what, you're on the right team, but we're going to give you the opportunity to bet them again. Just bet them again. Yeah. Same team that you like the 7.5, you're getting at 1.5. They win by 12.
And like the Ottawa Toronto game, the Ottawa Hamilton, if Hamilton scores first, we're going to get we're probably going to be looking at plus 200, plus 220 on a money line play where we like them at plus 2.5. We might even get plus 8. I don't know that we're going to get that big a discount on Winnipeg. I don't know that we're going to get a big discount on BC. Sask, we very well might. I don't know that the odds makers are favoring Edmonton, but they're certainly not. They're not seeing things the same way that we are when it comes to how they adjust their odds, and we're winning.
No doubt. All right, buddy. Always be cashing, huh?
Always be cashing.